Hello and welcome to Clash of the Masterminds. I'm your host, Seoulsteal, and today we're casting this PvZ on Inside and Out. At the top right, we have ourselves the red Protoss. It is Mastakilla. And at the bottom left, we have ourselves the blue Zerg. It is Knuckles. Alright. Even though his name might not be Knuckles, it looks like Knuckles, I'm calling him that. So, Elite, Mastakilla is aka Elite. Starting off with the pylon really close to the ramp. Usually I see this whenever we're dealing with the cannon rush, which is exactly what we're dealing with here in this game. And Knuckles not necessarily going to know what's coming until it's already here. He should know right now, seeing that probe early, that this is possibly a cannon rush, especially with the pathing of that probe. But let's see, he does see it. His reaction is to ignore it at the moment. And now we have Elite over here at the top of the ramp, wanting to do a 3-pylon wall to prevent Knuckles from being able to slow him down and stop him. The Zerg should know that it's going to be nearly impossible for him to hold this the way the game is right now. He should probably just cancel. Elite cancels all the pylons in the pylon wall, and now he's going to continue forth with his cannon rush. Knuckles, on the other hand, though, gonna go ahead and get the spawning pool and gas. He should just get double gas because it's gonna take too long from the breakout eventually. And this expansion, it would be wise from the cancel. There's not much he's gonna be able to do to stop this cannon rush from happening. Elite over here going and forth with a proxy 2-gate follow-up with this cannon rush, and now we have ourselves our Knuckles Zerg wanting to take himself an expansion. He's so desperate for an expansion, he'd rather just go ahead and take a third. But despite all that, like, he wants an expansion despite seeing all of this. I would be more paranoid of expanding and just, you know, all the resources going towards an expansion that I'm not going to be able to use. He would be better off with just getting a macro hatch at this point, or proxy hatching his opponent. Elite over here is going to go ahead and get a follow-up. Oh, no, sorry, not a follow-up. I thought he was making another gateway, but that's just his Cyber. So, Cybernetics Core is on the way. Elite is not falling behind in his tech, but he is a little behind on the gas. He has not started mining gas yet, unfortunately for him. But now we have ourselves some forward cannons to help try to zone the units, the reinforcement units from the ramp. But the thing is that I feel like it's a little bit too close. I think Ravagers can still bile that from the distance while maintaining the high ground. And now we have ourselves a Zealot harassing the natural of the Zerg, the new natural. Elite getting himself a defensive cannon at his ramp, but still has not gotten the second gas. I'm not sure how many probes he has out on the map. I think he lost one, so he's down to 1 probe out on the map before, because he did lock himself in completely into his base. The only way for him to bust out is to break a one of his structures. And now we have Stalker Zealot on the way from Elite. So we're going to see some 2-gate pressure, as I stated earlier, 2-gate pressure, but the roaches are already here. So the 2-gate pressures are going to be met with resistance, and the first Ravager is on the way. Like I said, the Ravagers are going to be able to bile this from high ground. They're going to be able to bile it safely from high ground. The shield battery is going to keep it alive a little bit longer than it normally would be. And now this expansion is going to get harassed by the Zealot and Stalker. This Queen is going to go down, not going to really make any use of it whatsoever. Can't even put down a creep tumor. And now we have 2 biles. And despite the accuracy of where they were shot, they didn't make connections. And now this Overlord is going to die as well. And this base is forfeit. There's nothing else for it. We have biles going down on this cannon. But like I said, that shield battery is just going to keep it alive a little bit longer than it normally should be. The more shield batteries, the longer that cannon's going to stay. And the Zerg needs more Ravagers to bile this cannon down and kill it. We do have some roaches over here at the dead expansion. And now we have a roach that's also deciding that it wants to go on its own little adventure and die. 3 stalkers are going to kill it, though. And that poor roach suffered a fate worse than death. Is death by stalkers. So, So still death. So not really worse. Anyway, more cannons and shield batteries at home to defend against a counterattack by Knuckles. Elite's a little paranoid. He's getting a lot more defense than I feel like he would need, especially when he doesn't know what his opponent's doing just yet. If anything, the biggest threat would be a Nidus Swarm in Elite's base, because the Zerg has shown that he's really wanted to bust out from his main. He hasn't shown any units from the outside besides the initial 4 roaches from that expansion that he made earlier that Elite already cleared out. And now Elite's sending his probe out. Looks like he wanted to expand, I believe, but he may have seen this roach. These roaches are going out and looking for possible Protoss expansion. Sorry about that, didn't mean to click that. And 3 more shield batteries. But there's a lot of stalkers, but Elite's not really doing a whole lot. He's just maintaining a presence, trying to keep the Zerg on their toes at the expansion, wanting to keep the Zerg at bay, containing the Zerg. But there's been a little bit of a breach. We have three roaches. So Elite's gonna have to get his fly swatter out and squash those bugs. Or get out his shoe and squash the bugs. Queen does transfuse, but unfortunately, I think it was 2 roaches for 1 stalker. That was a pretty good trade if that's what it was. That pylon does go down, and unfortunately actually does depower these shield batteries. That's unfortunate for Elite. But he does have 3 more shield batteries up here. But the cone of protection has been slightly interrupted. And now we have ourselves a nice little back and forth dance between Stalkers and Ravagers. Elite getting rid of those rocks. I'm sure he's been misclicking on those from time to time. Those pesky rocks. And Zerg's still not getting that layer tech. He really should be getting that layer tech to try to get himself out of this base one way or the other. Whether it's with Mutas or Nidus. Or even just Dropper Lords. But looks like Knuckles has had it. He is done. He feels like he's got enough units to bust out. And we have shield batteries keeping these Stalkers alive much, much longer than they would have if they weren't around. And Elite holds this forward position, but all these shield batteries are completely depleted. So, and there's no Nexus to overcharge, so not a whole lot Elite's going to be able to do if the Zerg were to come back down the ramp. He's not making any more Stalkers. He is, however, making a proxy Stargate right next to his Nexus that he proxied as well. And we didn't even pay attention to this, but this did happen. Ravagers are going to buy all those shield batteries. They take the shields away for the shield batteries, oddly enough. You know, but it looks like no damage whatsoever to the hull, to the base structure itself. This Pervy Lord still checking out, still sees not a whole lot, just looking and seeing. Okay, he's actually going to move it in. He's curious what he's up against. But little does he know, the threat is really next door still. Elite has proxied a Stargate next to his opponent's base. And now we have more Ravagers coming down. Well, not really more, it's still 3. 3 Ravagers coming down and biling those depowered shield batteries. If Elite were to repower these up, his cone of protection would be, you know, reestablished. We got ourselves a second Stargate going up, a second proxy Stargate of all things as well. And now Zerg is getting link speed. I don't know why, but good for him. Lings and Ravagers would bust through this pretty well, I feel. The Zealot, sorry, not the Zealot, the Stalker DPS is not as great against Zerglings. But here we go, we got the Zerglings wanting to come out of the base, and this is a pretty sizable army by our Zerg, our Knuckles Zerg here. And he's going to push out. He really wants to bust through this base. Actually, okay, he finally does change his direction. But now we have ourselves a Void Ray out on the map, and it's going to do pretty well. It's going to be mostly uncontested. These shield batteries are going down. These Stalkers are slowly also getting taken care of, but the Zerg is forced to retreat at the sight of 2 mere Void Rays. There's no more shield batteries here, though, to keep these Stalkers alive, but Void Rays are here. The only threat to the Void Rays are the Biles and the Queens, and Yeah, I think Elite, he could just safely leave this base and be happy with what he's accomplished, which is keeping the Zerg on one base all game so far. These Stalkers are going to get cleaned up, though, and these Void Rays, if they don't leave soon, they're going to get cleaned up as well. Unfortunately, these Queens have transfused. They are still on creep, kind of. Like, yeah, all those Void Rays do get taken care of. The Stalkers are gone. Queens OP, Elite says. We have 2 more Void Rays out on the map, and they are going to use Prismatic Alignment on these Roaches, and they are going to do terrible, terrible damage to these Roaches. They're wiggling their little butts, trying to retreat, trying to get away from the Void Rays, but the Void Rays are too strong. And unfortunately, though, there's 5 Queens now on the map. So these Void Rays, they're going to have themselves a bit of work cut out for them, especially if they have to go back home to defend against this attack. Elite does still have his recall, if needed, to protect his main base. But I feel like the main base could actually be sacked at this point for the most part. And I mean, this is basically his main base now. His new home is next door. He's got himself a friendly neighbor who likes to hawk loogies and spread poop on the ground. We have some Spore Crawlers come down for Zerg, and Zerg is preparing for the Void Ray harass. I don't know if they are aware. Oop, I'm sorry. I don't know if they are. Oh no, they are aware actually of the Proxy Stargate, but they are not aware of the base. But here we go. Roach is trying to come on into the main. Files are making connections to the ground, and the Files did depower that shield battery, oddly enough. And now there's been a breach. The Zerg has broken into the Protoss main, but it's actually completely empty. It's kind of like a bait. Zerg thinks he's going to do lots and lots of damage to Elite's economy, but he's not doing anything at all. That base has been empty for a while. This is his new home. Elite's new home is next door. He's that crazy neighbor that always has the barking dogs. They're always speeding down the road, playing their music really loud and pissing you off. And we have lots of shield batteries over here. Unfortunately now, there are no roaches to help file the shield batteries. It's just Queen on Void Ray. And as the Zerg is cleaning up the last assimilator of Elite's original main, Elite is now getting himself his own expansion. At the same time, not really at the same time, Elite's expansion is much quicker than the Zerg's. And now we have too many Void Rays, not enough Queens, but there are nice Spore Crawlers here to help defend against Elite's his Void Rays, but there's still just too many Void Rays. There's not enough anti-air, and Zerg, he's been mind-fucked. He's bringing his Roaches and Ravagers home, but they're not going to do a whole lot to help against this Void Ray army, except distract the Void Rays from killing the Queens. Void Rays now wanting to chase those Roaches and Ravagers away. Elite. Okay. These Roaches are actually going to make a loop around, and they're going to find this base. He doesn't know anything about this base, but he's going to find it. He does A-click towards it. So Elite is now got to make a choice if he wants to continue this attack or if he wants to defend his new expansion. And he wants to deny the Zerg as much as he can, looks like, before he has to go back home. Actually, he might just give this base up. Nope, he's coming back. I think he wants to... Okay, maybe he just wants to defend his main. His new main. Lots of probes are going down. The Zerg is finally doing lots of damage to Elite's economy. And Elite is now chasing down these Roaches. I was just looking. Elite still has a higher worker count than the Zerg, despite losing that base and losing his main. But now we have a carrier out on the map. And this carrier, a single carrier is not going to do a whole lot by itself. But carriers with the Void Ray is still scary. With the Void Rays, I mean, it's still scary. Now we have 2 carriers. Not a whole lot of opposition here. We have just Queens and a single Spore Crawler now to defend against the Void Ray carrier comp. And Roaches did come back here to clean up the last of the simulator and the last of the probes that are rallied. But now, like, yeah, this is unfortunate for Elite. He's got to defend against these Roaches and Ravagers. He doesn't want to lose too much more of his economy. And those Biles, Elite did fly right into the Biles that time, unfortunately. But these Roaches are going to be chased off, maybe for good this time. These Void Rays are finally going to catch up to the Roaches and possibly just kill them all off. queens are just hanging out over here, though. Queens could do something, but they're not doing anything. And these roaches are actually just on the retreat again. Elite, he's between a rock and a hard place, it feels. Between the roaches on the right and the queens on the left. With now Hydra support, this is getting scarier and scarier as the game progresses. The Zerg is still managing to produce all this random crap off one base. And the Void Rays do come back with the carriers, but now they're fighting against Hydras. But it looks like it's still too much Protoss for the Zerg to handle. And GG is called. Well played, Mastakilla, aka Elite. Well played indeed. So, definitely an interesting game. Definitely not what you'd expect at the end. It was actually really close, despite the supply difference. It was actually a pretty close game. Both players, low econ all game. Both players could not keep their expansions down. Elite, this is his new main. This was his new main base, so we don't really count this as an expansion. We count this as his new main. And then this base over here was his expansion. And then, yeah, so, neither player could hold their expansion. Very low econ, very, very fun game to watch. So, hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast. If you would like me to cast your replays, submit your replays at seoulreplays@gmail.com. That is SEOUL replays@gmail.com. Or you can join my Discord. My Discord link is down in the description below. And you can submit your replay in the StarCraft stuff section. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Really hope you enjoyed that video just now. If you wouldn't mind clicking that like, subscribe, and the bell notification down below, really appreciate it. Also, be sure to follow me on my Twitter and Twitch.